Hi there and welcome to this video. In this video we are going to talk about different Python IDEs. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, and every language has like many IDEs supporting it. So in this video we would like to understand that which IDE can be best for me. And if you are a Python developer, then you would know that how difficult it can become to decide, given that there are so many options which are given to us. So in this video, let me show you the options which we are going to explore. So here you can see that if you have been a Python developer, then you would know that at least once in your life you have come across this question that whether I should go for, let's say, something like Anaconda, whether I should use PyCharm or VS Code, or if you are working on cloud or you're just learning Python, you can also think about things like Hackerrank. And if you have seen some data science tutorials, you would have heard about Google Colab. So there are so many options, and I haven't even talked about Repl.it, which I will definitely be talking about as we proceed in this video. But given that there are so many choices, the question comes that how do I decide where I have to get started? And that is exactly what we are going to cover in this video. So if you are an intermediate or an advanced user, then it can definitely be a refresher for you. It can be a good revision for you to decide how exactly you can set up any of these IDs. And if you are a beginner, then it can help you to avoid this confusion altogether, and it may make it easier for you to set things up. So what we have to do is, as you can see on my screen, I have got around 8 tabs open, actually one more than that. And one by one I will be setting up each of these IDs so that you can learn how exactly that is done. And while I do that, I will also talk about that in what scenarios you can use that specific IDE or that specific, let's say, editor. And we will also talk about their benefits, like why exactly you should be going for that and in what scenario. So cool, let's go ahead and cover all of these one by one. But there is one thing common, and I think that is something which I should be talking about first, and that is all of these are Python IDEs, and all of these will need Python. So there is one thing which I would like to highlight here. Irrespective of whatsoever IDE you are using, if it claims to be using, let's say, same version of Python, then you can safely assume that it will be offering all the functionality. So for example, if you are using Python 3.5 on Hackerrank and you're using Python 3.5 on Jupyter Lab, then you can safely use all the features. There is not going to be any difference in the syntax of the code, right? But yeah, versions have to be same, so you have to keep that thing in mind, because there can always be certain changes when you're talking about different versions, and there can be major changes when you're talking about the versions, from major versions, like for example 2 to 3. So now let's go ahead and talk about these different editors one by one. Let's just set them up. But before that, the first thing which we need to do is we need to download the latest version of Python on our machine, because all the editors will ultimately be using this software, that is Python, which is the programming language, right? So as you can see that I have already downloaded this just to spare some time, just to do things faster. So Python is already here. Now if you have such a package, if you have downloaded such a package, all that you have to do is you just have to double click on this, and now we can go ahead. Like, this is very straightforward. I don't think there's anything which we have to discuss here, because most of the things you have to actually enter your password. So let me do that. Okay, would like to access files in your downloads folder. Okay, you can give that permission. So as you can see, it is installing Python. This is a very quick process and shouldn't take much time. Awesome. So now that Python is installed, you can check something on your shell. So this is the terminal program. All of you would know about it. On Ubuntu, you have something called as bash. On Windows, you have something called as cmd, right? Now if I type Python, as you can see that the command not found. Now if I say Python 3, you can see that it is still using Python 3.9, whereas the version which I installed, this is Python 3.11. So now let me just exit out of it. Let me just try to type Python 3.11. Now as you can see that I this invoked the specific shell. So this is the first point of confusion. Like sometimes what happens is that we just type Python and it gives this error that command not found, and we perceive that the Python is not installed on the system, but it is not the case. Sometimes you have to actually type that specific version which you have installed. So here on this machine you can see that two versions of Python are installed. One is Python 3, which is the default version, that is Python 3.9.6, and the other one is Python 3.11. In some video I will definitely talk about how exactly you can make this as the default version, but I'll leave that for some other video. Right now, here if I go back to this, you can see that we are talking about like 8 different IDEs, and one of them is the Python shell also. Right now, if you have to invoke the Python shell, what you can do is you can already see that IDE is written here, right, and Python launcher is written here. So let me just go ahead and click on this. So it wants to access my downloads folder. I say okay. Yep. So as you can see that the Python shell is here. So note it down as one of the first ways of, let's say, invoking Python or executing Python commands. You can see that Python 3.11.4 is written here, and similar is the case here also. The same thing you can do by typing Python 3.11 here as well. So there is absolutely no difference between this and this. This you actually invoked with the help of GUI, whereas here you simply typed the command Python 3.11. So no difference. And what you can do is you can simply, now let me close this, you can simply execute any valid Python command here. So for example, I can write print, this is Python running from the shell, and you can type any of the commands. You can use it as a calculator, and you can run any valid commands. You can actually call any of the functions which Python supports. For example, max, I can pass in a list, can check the result, which is 4. Cool. So I hope you have understood this idea. That now coming to the point, that what are the benefits of this and where is it helpful. Now let's say you are working on some complex project and you want to quickly validate some idea. Let's say you forgot some syntax, you forgot whether this function is actually, let's say, max or mx only, right? Then this is where you can use this. This is what will help you to validate your ideas very quickly. Or let's say you want to perform some calculations very fast, like you just want to check what exactly is 2 raised to the power, let's say, 10. That is where you can use this shell promptly, because this really helps you do things very quickly, as this is an REPL. This is called as REPL, which means read, evaluate and print loop. So quick prototyping, quick validation, that is where you have to use this concept. Awesome. So we have covered this one, that is the Python shell. Let me mark it in a different color so that we know that we have covered this. So let us use the green color for that. Awesome. Cool. So now let's just move ahead. Let's just move to the next one. So we are done with this one. So the next one is Hackerrank. So Hackerrank is an online platform to learn programming and data structures and algorithms, right? And it's a great platform. Kudos to them for building such a great platform. So here what you can do is, like, as you can see that I started with this Python section. I can click on this and I will see a lot of Python problems. So as you can already see that when exactly is this going to be the most helpful. So here you can actually, here you can actually set the difficulty also, let's say easy, and then you can say introduction, and here you can say solved also, right? So it starts with the very basics, like it starts by saying hello world. Now what is the benefit of using Hackerrank? So if you are a beginner and you want to learn programming, then Hackerrank could be one of the best ways, because it says that you don't have to set up anything on your machine and everything is provided to you in your browser only. So which means that without going through the hustle of setting up things on your local machine, you can actually focus on the real agenda, which is to learn programming. And that is where Hackerrank stands out. So it's the best. So let me look at this example. Let us just look at this example, which says that you have to print hello world on the screen. So the command is already written for you. You just have to type hello and then world, and this is where you can run the code. Okay, so it ran successfully, and then you can submit the code. Cool. By the way, if you get stuck solving some of the Hackerrank problems, you can definitely check out my Hackerrank playlist, where I try to solve as many Hackerrank problems as I can. And if there happens to be some problem which you're trying to solve on Hackerrank and you are not able to solve, you can always ask for help in the comments, right? Cool. So this is the second way, one of the easiest. Now, what are the benefits? I think I've already talked about that you don't need to set up anything on your local machine. But what could be the downside? So the downside could be that if you are working on something specific, like you're working on a small project, then you may not be able to use this platform, because on this platform you can only learn, and there is already a fixed set of problems which you can solve. So I am sure they give you the option to add your own problems also, but what I'm trying to say is that you can't do anything out of problem solving, right? You can't do anything outside of learning. It's not a platform where you can build complex projects, but it has its own USP, and which is to learn programming. And if that is your objective, then you can definitely choose this platform. It's a great platform for learning. So yep, that was Hackerrank. So let me just mark Hackerrank also as green. Cool. Okay, now let's move to the next platform. So this is again another amazing platform. It's called as repl.it.com. Initially it used to be called as repl.it, but now it is replit.com. So what are the good things about this platform? Well, you can actually create complex projects on this platform. So for example, let me actually start with something very basic, but as you can see that the file is here. I can actually create new files also. I can create new folders also. And what it means is that I can create complex projects as well, and I can save them. The best part, like I go anywhere, these will come with me. These will go with me. I can open them from anywhere in the world on anybody's machine. So that is the advantage, because it's everything lives on cloud and nothing is on your local machine. So if I go ahead and type the very simple command, this is print hello world from REPL, let's say, and if we try to run this, so you can see that all the execution is happening in the cloud. So you're not even paying for the compute here, because you are just accessing this platform through your browser, and all the computation is happening on the back end. It's all happening in the cloud, and you get to see the results here. So if you want to work on some collaborative projects, like you want to work with let's say your friend, then this could be one of the best platforms. You can invite them to repl.it or replit.com, and you can start coding here. So what could be some other benefits of using this platform? Well, this platform can be very beneficial if you are doing some kind of, let's say, coding session, or if you are taking some kind of interview, or you are preparing to give an interview where you can be having some online kind of a test. So this is a great platform for all of those things. And I would say collaboration is definitely the USP for the specific platform, because you can edit some files and your friends can definitely see those editings or edits which are done by you, and then similarly they can make the edits you can see. So in a way, nothing on your local machine, everything on cloud. So if that is what your requirement is, then definitely go for this platform. Cool. So now let's just mark REPL also as green, because we have covered this one. Okay, so the next one is Google Colab. So Google Colab, yeah, it is written here. Awesome. So Google Colab is, again, it's based on cloud, right? But when you click on, let's say, code, it basically gives you this thing. Let me show you from very scratch, where we say new notebook. Now, if you have, if you're a data scientist, or if you have seen any data science tutorials, you would know that Jupyter notebooks are one of the favorite IDEs, we can call them, for data scientists. The reason being that it is very easy to share these notebooks around. So let's say you have solved some algorithm, or you have written some algorithm in a notebook. It is very easy to share it with another data scientist, and they can they can basically replicate all the steps one by one. If there is some kind of error, they can talk about it, or they can probably use it on their data. So in a way, sharing the code is very easy. Let me show you how exactly we can write code. So hello world from, I'm writing Jupyter. Actually, let me write Colab only. So Colab is like Jupyter in the cloud. So it again runs in the cloud, produces the result, and you can see the result. It seems to be taking some time. Usually it doesn't take that much time. But let me talk about other features, like you can actually add text sections also, wherein you can talk about what the code is supposed to do. This acts as, let's say, documentation, right? So in this way you can have different things like hello world from Colab. So this is how it executes. Now if you see that again you are not having anything on your local machine, you can actually write all the code here, and once the code is written, you can save it to your drive. You can save a copy as, let's say, a GitHub gist. And one more thing which I wanted to show, there is, yeah, so you can download this IPython notebook and you can share it with any fellow data scientist. You can share it with any fellow student, depending upon whom you're working with. And you can also download the Python. And there is one more thing which I wanted to show you. I'm not sure whether that option is given here. So you can actually download these notebooks as HTML files also. Okay, I will probably show you that option in the Jupyter Lab section. I'm not able to see it here. Cool, no problem. But I hope you understood the idea. Now you may ask that what exactly is the benefit of using Google Colab, given that you can actually download Jupyter Lab, which we are going to do in this video also, and we can use it on our local machine also, right? That is perfectly fine. You can definitely do that. But let me show you something interesting which I am sure you would like. Okay, so let's go to the change runtime type, right? So when you're using Google Colab, you can see that hardware acceleration is available. You can use GPU, you can use TPU. So the Google infrastructure, like you can use any Google infrastructure which is available with the help of Google Colab. So it's kind of, it gives you the access to the Google hardware, and which is definitely a big deal. So if you're working on something very heavy and you want to utilize, let's say GPU or TPU for that, then this could be your platform. And that's why I said that this is one of the favorites with the data science community. So most of the data scientists, you would see that they use either Jupyter Lab or in some cases Google Colab, or there is a platform from AWS called as AWS SageMaker, which I think we haven't included in this video, but it is also a great platform. So if you're a data science student, or if you're a data science practitioner, or if you plan to be a data scientist, then you should definitely know about Google Colab, because it is very helpful with the data science projects, right? Cool. So let me just mark Jupyter Lab also as green, as we have discussed about it. Cool. Coming to the next part, now let's see what is in the next tab. Okay, so the next tab is Jupyter itself. Cool. So yep, we have to cover, okay, I think we made a small mistake. We had to do this green. So Jupyter Lab already marked green, not a problem. So let's cover it. So Jupyter Lab basically gives you a Colab kind of or the notebook kind of an environment, but in your own local machine. So this is how you install it, which is pip install Jupyter Lab. In case you don't know what exactly pip is, you can actually go through my Python playlist to learn about it. Cool. So I think I already copied the command. Yep, pip install Jupyter Lab. Let's just make, first of all, let me actually check whether pip is available to us or not. Awesome. So pip 3.11 is definitely available. Now let us just copy the command and let's type pip 3.11 install Jupyter Lab. So here we go. So this will install the Jupyter Lab environment on our local machine, and we'll be able to run the server on our local machine only. Okay, so this is one of the ways to run Jupyter Lab. Python, the version, then using the -m flag, then Jupyter, and then lab. Let me just click enter. So when you click enter, the Jupyter Lab server starts, and here as you can see that you can create a new notebook, or you can use the console app as well. So if I go here file, I can definitely do new, and then I can say notebook, and it will also ask me what environment, what kernel I'm going to use. So Python 3 is the kernel, and let's say select. Now when you hear this term kernel, I'm sure like if you come from a data science community, then another platform will come to your mind which I was not able to cover, that is Kaggle. So if you're a data scientist, you would have heard the term kernels, because that is the term which is used on Kaggle. And the environment in terms of look and feel remains very similar to Jupyter Notebooks. Again, you can do any kind of Python command. Let's say this time from Jupyter Lab, and you can execute it, and it will execute all the Python code. So you can write any kind of Python code. You can have, let's say, conditionals, you can have loops, you can have functions, classes, all sorts of, like, whatever Python supports, you can put it here and it will work fine without any complaints. Cool. So this was Jupyter Lab, and now we are left with another 3 platforms, that is PyCharm, VS Code, and Anaconda Spider. So let's go ahead and talk about VS Code. So VS Code is one of the most general purpose IDE, I would say, and it is very popular in organizations, in academia, amongst online learners as well. So the best part is that it is very easy to set up, and it is very lightweight. It has got a lot of extensions, and it is very helpful. So let's go ahead. Let's look at VS Code. So you can just type VS Code in Google, and you will see Visual Studio Code, code editing redefined. You can click on download. Cool. And here you can see that for multiple different operating systems like Windows, Deb, and RPM, Mac. So we'll go for the Mac. So here also you can see whether the Intel chip or the Apple Silicon or the Universal, and similarly for CLI, Intel chip or Apple Silicon. I'm going to click on Apple Silicon. You can decide depending upon what operating system you're using. So once you're there, let's go to the folder. Let's click on this. So it is saying code. Let us just click on this. This is command line. I unfortunately installed the wrong thing. Not a problem. I installed the CLI. Let me actually install this one for the Apple Silicon. Awesome. Go to the folder and let us just open this. Cool. So this is VS Code. You can just open this. Okay, is an app downloaded? Yes, open this. Cool. So I can decide how I want to make it look. This is perfectly fine. So you can also browse the color themes and so on. This is how the IDE looks like, and this is also where you can run your Python. You can open any folder where you have got your projects. So as you can see, we have some 404 here. Let me create a new folder, testing VS Code, and let's just open this. Yes, trust the authors. Yes, I trust the authors. Cool. So now you can create your Python scripts here. You can call it, let's say, hello.py, not hell but hello.py. Yeah, you can use command and the plus symbol to increase the font size, and again you can type any commands. Let's say print hello and world. You can save it, and then you can use control and tilde to bring up the terminal. So there is one more thing which I would like to talk about now, that there is absolutely no difference between this terminal, like when you're invoking Python from this terminal, versus when you were using the other terminal to invoke Python. The Python will remain same. So let me just try to type Python 3.11. So this is the same Python. You can use it here or there. It's not a problem. Now, whenever you have to execute a script, what you have to do is you have to write Python, the specific version you want to use, and then you can write the name of the script. Given that you are at the right location, let me check that. So you can do ls for that. So you are at the right location. If you want to check what location are you at, you can simply type pwd, that is print working directory, and this is where we are. So simply type python 3.11 and hello.py. So this basically executes the script. So very simple setup. You just have to download, you just have to extract, and it is ready to use. Awesome. So we have covered one more. Let me go ahead and mark VS Code also as green because we have covered it. Okay, so now we are left with two more choices. One is PyCharm, one is Anaconda Spider. Cool. So given that this video has already become very long, I think I would take a pause. I'll cut this video right here for today, and the remaining ones, that is PyCharm and Anaconda Spider, I'll be taking them up in some future video. And feel free to let me know if you want to know more about any specific aspects of any of these IDEs, or if you face any trouble in setting up these IDEs. And in case of VS Code, for example, if you want to set up some extensions, or if you're facing any trouble with using any of the cloud IDEs, you can always comment and I'll be more than happy to help you. So with this, I think let's conclude this video. I hope you liked the content which we covered in this video. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye and take care. Hey guys, are you up for a surprise? Well, why can't we just complete the other two IDs in this video itself? If you're with me, then keep watching. So yes, we have covered these 6 and we are left with PyCharm and Anaconda. So let's go ahead and talk about PyCharm. So when doing PyCharm, well, PyCharm comes as a professional as well as community edition, and you have to go for community edition for this video's purpose. And I think I've already installed, or sorry, not installed but downloaded. So here it is. I just have to double click this and let's drag. Okay, so it is installing, it's done. Let me go ahead. Oops, sorry, this is not the correct thing. Yeah, click here. Yeah, this is the one we need. That is the community version. Let's open it. You have to accept the policy, continue. And now what you can do is learner educator. You can say learner start using this one. So here you can see projects, you can say new project, and you can name, okay, Python project is perfectly fine. And the virtual environment is which is being used is virtual env, pipenv. Let's go for virtual env. These days a lot of people are using poetry also, and it will definitely be a topic for some video, but for now we will simply go with virtual env. And you can see that it is using Python 3.11, but other versions are also available, so we'll go with 11 only. That is 3.11, and I think we are good. We can simply create the project. So yes, as we can see that it has created the project, and there is a file called as main.py. Now as you can see, already see the difference, that unlike your VS Code where you have to set up everything from scratch, here it is already creating a project for you. And it is also setting a project structure for you, whether you you may like it and you may keep this one, and if you don't like it, you can actually delete and convert it to your own project structure also, right? But the best part is that you can simply run this file by clicking this button. So in that sense, so it says that the process finished with exit code something. That is strange, because ideally when I'm executing main, okay, so run main. Okay, yeah, so hi PyCharm. I'm sorry I didn't see this. So it's printing hi PyCharm, and because this is the name which is passed, so in a way you get some form of scaffolding here, right? It's not very blank, and moreover the look and feel is definitely a bit more professional than the previous IDEs which we have seen. And now I would like to talk about one more thing, that PyCharm also comes in a professional edition, which is a paid edition, of course, and a lot of professionals around the world, they use PyCharm. You can decide whether this is your favorite IDE or not. You can actually see the benefits, that it sounds a bit more professional, it is used by a lot of professionals. And on the other side, it gives you some kind of scaffolding as well. And again, there are a lot of extensions which are available for this as well, just like VS Code. And but yeah, there are still a lot of people which use who use VS Code, and then there is a group of people who use PyCharm. You can decide for yourself, because we have talked about all the different things. We have talked about the setup. Cool. So now let's go ahead and talk about Anaconda. So Anaconda, again, like targeted towards data science and again complex projects. I already have it here downloaded. If you like, what you can do is you can go to the download page if you have to download. Like here you can see, you can select your operating system and it will show you the option. I have already got it downloaded, so I'll say show in the folder. And now what I have to do is I just have to double click. Now this is this may actually take run in a program to determine. Okay, so I'll say allow, and we will say continue, then continue, most of the cases agree, yes, and then install. So it will obviously like to access the downloads folder, so it may take some time for the installation depending upon what is the configuration of your machine, but it's still not going to take a long time. So as you can see that install time remaining is less than a minute. So what I can do is I can pause the video right here and I can come back once it is installed. Okay guys, so it is complete, and now we can say continue and close. We can move this installation package to bin. Now if I go to applications, I can simplify the Anaconda navigator. Now you will realize that Anaconda happens to be one of the most complex IDE which we have seen so far. Like we saw some simpler ones, and Anaconda is slightly more advanced, slightly more complex. We really can't call Anaconda directly an IDE because it actually offers you a lot more than that. It's kind of a manager also, which allows you to run other programs also. So yeah, here you can see that I can, okay, so it says there's a new version available. I would say that remind me later. Cool. A lot of things are already installed. PyCharm community can be launched from here. PyCharm professional, if you have, can be launched from here. Notebook can be launched from here. Jupyter Lab can be launched from here. Then Spider can be launched from here. Console can be launched from here. So as you can see that the Anaconda navigator, it is actually acting as a manager, and it is managing a lot of different programs for you. Similarly, you can actually have multiple environments which are configured for, let's say, multiple different projects. Learning and community we can probably skip for this. So let's go ahead and launch Spider. So Spider is yet another IDE offered inside of, let's say, Anaconda, right? You can write the code here. This is your shell, and this talks about like, you know, multiple other things which are available to us for investigation. And the Jupyter, which is now better known to you, and the Jupyter Lab. Let's just try to launch Jupyter Lab from here. So the same Jupyter Lab which we launched from command line can be launched from here as well. And as you can see, there is no much difference as such, but just the way of approaching things is different. So with this, like, the exploration we can definitely leave for some other video. I don't think we are going to use all of these IDEs in the videos which we create, but just for the sake of completion, now you know that there can be multiple different ways of writing the code, and each of these IDEs will be having some commands which run specifically for them. And depending upon what IDE an organization is using, or what IDE a developer is using, they can find more content around that, right? And this really helps. Like, you know, if you are working, let's say if your organization is using Anaconda, then it definitely makes sense for you to learn the commands and be proficient in the Anaconda context. Whereas if your organization is using Jupyter, then you can go ahead and be proficient in things like Colab, or let's say Amazon SageMaker or Jupyter Lab. And if your organization or you individually like VS Code, then you can find content around VS Code. But I hope this video will help you to avoid the confusion of what IDE should be used, right? So let me go ahead and make this also green. So this was the content for this video, setting up multiple IDEs, talking about multiple IDEs and which can be used at what point of time. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If that is the case, I would request that you give a like or make a comment on the video and share it with the people you feel can benefit from this video. Thanks a lot for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye bye and take care.